15 days before prelims, 15 days before mains, and 15 days before interview, because that's how my mother's PET scan like scheduling was. It was between 2.5 to 3 months away. I used to carry the book to the doctor's room, and even the doctors over there, especially one of the doctors, Dr. Chinmay Pani, he was the one who was so much invested in that. He used to call me ki, how did your mains go? One of the biggest pillars throughout this entire 2 years had been you. Your guidance and support had been extremely crucial, not just for academic and study point of view, but also as an elder brother from an emotional angle as well.
Before I bring Ranadheer in, I wanted to give these two books to Animesh. And the thing about these two books is that they are very contrasting in nature, right? So Raghuram Rajan's third pillar talks about, have you read it by any chance?
No, I haven't yet.
Good, thank God, thank God. So waste nahi ja raha hai. So Raghuram Rajan's third pillar talks about how, you have to take communities and societies together. That's the third pillar. Something around that I'm also forgetting because thoda pehle padha tha. And hard things is about building companies. So again, one of an all-time greats has written this. And he talks about, how you have to be aggressive, ruthless, you need to judge people, you have to be like a great judge of. So very contrasting things and gripping stories in both of them. I'm sure you will like them.
Yeah, I'm sure I look forward to reading this.
Perfect. So guys, let me get the star of the moment. Animesh to star of the moment hai, but aap logon ko Ranadheer se nahi mile. Ranadheer, come along. He has flown to Delhi. And this is going to be like an amazing session, guys.
So, thank you so much everyone for inviting me. And I will start discussing with Animesh right now. But before that, I'll tell you that first of all, this is also very overwhelming for Animesh as well as me also. Because it's not that I didn't expect he can get this rank, but no. But when it comes to reality, what you're expecting, it's a complete different type of aura and atmosphere around me. That's why, and in his first video of Animesh, when he gave after the rank, he touched upon very critical aspect where he discussed about mental health and all those stuff, which I think is a very great thing and very courageous thing to do, where no one is talking about. So I thought that why not. I'll talk to Animesh on that aspect of preparation where he dealt with his lows and highs and all those stuff, and how did he overcome all those things. So that will be the major area which we are covering in this discussion with Animesh. And as I know Animesh from past 18, 19, 20 months something? Yes, so 20 months I guess. So let's discuss. It will be very candid discussion. Right. So first of all, Animesh, how are you feeling after getting rank?
On top of the world, but as I was talking to you, sir, before, it feels too overwhelming, and I'm still processing it. It's been 3-4 days now, but still it has not yet sunk in completely. But I'm too happy, but also full of gratitude, sir. And also take a moment to thank you, sir. I mean, one of the biggest pillars throughout this entire 2 years had been you. You were always just a call away, and I mean, for sure, this is something that I would like to tell everybody also. Like, you had been mentoring me for last 2 years, and at every stage, with prelims, mains, or interview, your guidance and support had been extremely crucial, not just for academic and study point of view, but also as an elder brother from an emotional angle as well. So thank you so much, sir. I owe a lot of this to you.
Thank you. But thank you, Animesh, for that. But no, this session is not about me. This session is about you and your health and how to tackle that. So let's jump into that first. So I'll tell you one thing, that generally after 4 or 5 sessions with any student, I'll get to know about their, how their health and all those stuff. But for you, like in the 8th month, I guess, from February, in October, I guess, you called me in the evening. Do you remember that call?
I do.
So that's the first time, because all this time you were speaking happily, you were always laughing, very active. So tell me about that thing actually. It's like first 3 months or 4 months, I felt nothing. Then you were doing very well actually. Suddenly in October, you called me in the evening, around 7:30, I guess. I was in market that time. So what prompted you that, and what is the breaking point there actually?
So every day wasn't similar in throughout this time, and for both of us, for my mother and I, we had always tried to be very private with the struggle that we were having. Both she from physical and mental, and I from a mental point of view. We wanted to keep it to ourselves. A lot of our relatives, till the last couple of days, did not were even aware that my mother was going through such a ugly disease for last 2 years. So I always tried to not show this side of mine. Now I'm taking and talking about this consciously because I want to know what a wonderful woman my mother was. But since I over the years I became over the months I became closer to you, and I found a safe space to discuss the same. So that was the point I had talked about this with you.
Okay, so my next question comes from the statement only. What do you feel safe space is? Like how do you define it, and how did you get to know that there is some safe space? I'm asking this question because I'm targeting those students who they don't want to come outside, like don't want to open up with the mentor. So what is a safe space when you decide that now is the time I can open up with someone like mentor?
So for me, safe space should be full of empathy, because when you're speaking to somebody, and this is something where I'm not seeking any help per se in terms of a medical help or to reverse the disease. If that was possible, then I would have done everything that I could have. But it's that somebody would understand me, that what I am in, and be in my shoes, and at least to be more empathetic at my condition, because UPSC journey, keeping everything else good, hunky and dory itself is extremely painful. Yeah. So I had a bigger battle that I had to fight. So at that point, it felt that you would be empathetic enough to understand the bigger fight I was going through, and UPSC is a subset of the bigger fight of my life that time. So that's what was the safe space all about.
Okay, fine. I think that might have cleared answer for many students. And second thing, what I understood is you are introvert. That's what you're trying to say, right? You and your mother being...
I had always been an extroverted kid, but I mean UPSC as a journey tends you to push away people. You want to keep it to yourself, everything. And also because your life becomes very monotonous, mundane, and a disciplined life. So in that way, I had become very introverted while I was preparing, but also we did not want to disclose about the disease to a lot of people. So that's what made us kept us private, and we tried to fight it. I, my sister and my mother, we tried to keep it to ourselves as long as possible. But at some point of time, we were humans and we needed help as well.
Yes. So again, my next question also comes from your statement only, which is disease. So many people many people call it disease, and that's why they don't open up. Some people call it medical health condition. Some people call disease, some people call they are mentally handicapped, or whatever reasons it is. So what do you think about this terminologies, whether it is good to say that it is a disease or mental condition, mental health issue? What is it? Because if you call it disease, then people try to hide it and do all the stuff. When you call it mental condition, and some people might come out of that. So how do you think it is of actually?
So it's a larger spectrum. Over the years, I have been in therapy for more than 2 years now, right from February 2022. So it's a spectrum. So there will be people, we have become very careless when I say that I'm depressed, I'm in depression. But in most of the cases, people are not. Depression is an actual medical condition. So that's a spectrum. So it's up to you what you want to call it. You cannot stress out on how do you define your mental health condition, be it an illness, a disease, or a problem. You can always open up that you're not feeling well. It's not up to you to diagnose it to what extent it is not well. We can keep it up to professional people, but we can open up that I'm not feeling well, and then everything can be carried forward by the people who have done their courses in this.
Okay. That means people should accept that they have condition, and then they have to come out, then they have to open it about it. That's what you're trying suggesting, yes, right? Okay. So yeah, next question I was thinking about is that, if you want to suggest, suppose, for example, many people, students come to me saying that, suppose they have some medical condition, like depression, assume depression, okay. Suppose yesterday or day before yesterday, UPSC released their marks. Okay, after looking at marks, few students call me, said that they are in depression. So is depression a moment? Is a moment, or it's a series of, it's a time period depression develops? Because when student call me and says, sir, marks dekha, depression mein chale gaya. Is it depression word very loosely used? That's what I'm saying.
It is, and in my limited understanding, it's a genuine medical condition which is diagnosed with a lot of quantifiable and scientific investigations, and it's too loosely used. But even somebody uses it, which we could not trivialize their feelings because it's coming from a intent to seek help. It might not be actual depression, but that doesn't mean that they're doing well. So that also calls for an additional help. So loosely calling it is a secondary problem, but the primary problem is people are not being opened up about even what they think that it is depression.
Okay. So you went to therapy, right? So like at what stage you decide that now it's time to go to therapy? Because I think you might have went to therapy at the last stage, right? Because you might have tried everything. That's what I'm understanding, okay? That you might have tried everything, and then you went to therapy, or the first itself you went to therapy. How did you go to approach therapy? Actually?
So I was always very positive about therapy because I knew a friend who had very severe mental health issues in college, and I knew that helped for him. So I had a positive outlook for therapy. And my mother was diagnosed in December to early January, and for one entire month, January, that was around third COVID came up, and we had work from home, and I was isolated because I couldn't go to office. And then I felt that I'm staying in my bed with my laptop while I'm working, and after that I'm just being there in the bed and doing nothing, and most of the times I was just crying, and that's when I decided I needed help, and then that's when I enrolled.
Achha. So what is your parents' reaction, your mother and sisters reaction when you said that you want therapy? Did they support us? Because what happens, I'm asking this question because what happens in India is when we say to parents with depression, so parents generally respond, depression kuch hota nahi hai, chupchap padho. That's what they say. So how did your parents and your sister react on that?
So I did not want to tell my mother, and I had not told my mother that I was seeking therapy because that was a even bigger battle that while I was at my worst and my mother had always been my best friend, I was not able to tell her that I'm going through this because you're having this disease, because she always had a lot on her plate. Obviously, she knew that I'm not doing well, but I did not open up because then she would have gotten a lot more worried for me. I told my sister and she was very supportive for me. But I had my friends who were very aware about the frequency and intensity and improvements. I was also not to keep it as private as possible and not disclose it to people. But if somebody would ask, then I would be open about it. But that used to never something that I used to bring up from my side, because it does not matter how positive we are about it. It's not a fun conversation to have.
Correct. Because many people don't understand what it is. For example, I'll tell you, if someone is going through breakup, okay, friends generally tend to make fun of it instead of taking it. Suppose there's a serious breakup, right? Then friends tend to make fun of it actually instead of giving help or helping shoulder. They make fun of it. So that's why many people tend not to tell all this stuff to people who are not professionals actually. Okay, this apart, tell me about those days, just before mains, right? You called me one day and tell me about, I don't want to discuss anything, you tell me what happened actually on that call and during that period, not just about call, but during that period, what happened during that period actually. Just 10-15 minutes before mains, right?
Yeah. So this had been the case 15 days before prelims, 15 days before mains, and 15 days before interview, because that's how my mother's PET scan like scheduling was. It was between 2.5 to 3 months away. So my examination schedule it was like that every 15 days, 10 days before a new PET scan would be done, and every time the report was what's initially like it would have the disease would have spread it to something like to larger part of her body, or during interview time it spread it to her lungs as well before it was till her breast, liver and bones. So every time I used to be here in Delhi and I used to have to fly back again to Bhubaneswar, meet 2-3 doctors there and here in Delhi as well with the report, while I could understand the report is what. So it's just that to ask them, do you have 10 days more and I have an exam to attend, and can I attend to this after 10 days? So this had been the common question across 3 phases. I used to carry the book to the doctor's room, and even the doctors over there, especially one of the doctors, Dr. Chinmay Pani, he was the one who was so much invested in that. He used to call me ki, how did your mains go, how did your interview go, because he knew also that it's not just a regular patient he was dealing with, but also someone who had a lot of dreams. So my doctors were also very much aware about the situation that I was in.
So how did you see, like listening itself, bringing tears in my eyes, but how did you deal with all those stuff?
It was extremely difficult. If I'd be lying if I say that I did it, and I don't know how, but it was difficult. Every day was full of anxiety and fear. But I think my motivation while I was studying was that I'll have to clear it as soon as possible, because I wanted my mother to see this come true. But while I was doing that, it was difficult to pull myself through. I have a small group of school friends of 3-4 people who have checked on me literally every day. My best friend would have checked me every hour, and they had been my biggest support system. My sister had sacrificed a lot of her personal and professional life, and she was always there to deal with day-to-day struggles of my mother. So I had a support system who was incredibly strong, who made me go through this process and used to reduce my anxiety and fear to a lesser extent.
So having good friends and family support is must for any mental condition to make it less, and the person who is facing those things, for the person it becomes very comfortable when there are some friends and family people who are at the tip of a moment, right? So that's what we are saying. So tell me, this might be the last question, okay? That from March 1st to April 13th, result came on 16th, right?
16th.
So March 1st to April 16th, what was your life like?
I mean, probably that was the worst part of my life. I mean, I had to deal with with the only parents that I had and her loss. And she was my entire world. She was my best friend, and my entire world revolved around her. So extremely difficult. I don't know how did my days went away. I just wanted every day to pass as soon as possible. I was in a very regular therapy, in more intensified therapy as well. I was asked to see a psychiatrist too, because I had other physical problems coming out of that as well. It was extremely heavy. I'm not sure how to put that in words, but it used to feel like the world should stop and end at this point.
Yes, it's better some emotions could not be put in words. Let the emotions be like that only. So on April 16th, like what changed in that? Are you still going to therapy sessions, or did you leave it?
I had my last therapy on April 15th.
So from that 16th you have a session, right?
16th I had to cancel it. That was in the evening. But then 15th I had a session, I had done that. And 16th we had talked that if results come this way and all, then we'll have a session. But fortunately I had to text my therapist that this is so and so, and she was extremely happy. I obviously I did not have any session after that, but this is such a happy distraction. But the void is still there. When the noise settles down at late in the night, I don't get the time where the noise settles down. No complaints on that. But when everything settles down for an hour or two in the night, the intensity of the void is unimaginable.
Of course, because the first statement, you remember what I said when you said you have cleared examination, got second rank. If you don't remember, I'll tell you, because the network was not that well that time. I said that it would be, if your mother would have alive, she would have been the most proudest person in the world right now, seeing her son achieving the feat which hardly anyone achieves in their this first attempt, working and all those stuff. So that's a great moment. So after the result, so what I'm asking is that kind of mental status. So does success change anything? Is success is what defines mental health condition, becoming from worse to better, or success doesn't matter whether success or not? What do you think?
I mean, since the euphoria is still large, it's just third day or fourth day after the results are out. I've been caught up with a lot of attention, and people are surrounded by me, so my brain can't process anything at this point of time. So I might not give a very valid answer that how does it feel now, but I'm sure that when everything settles down, the noise will get settled down in a couple of weeks. I'll again need a more support. I'm sure, but it helps. I'd say ki, some part of it will, like the success will help you in dealing the way you are dealing with your mental health. But the reason why I was having the mental health issues still remains the same, right? So, I mean, the absence, the grief, and the coping is still the same.
Yes, of course. Losing someone which we love the most, the situation where they can't return at all, right? That's a very what we say unfillable void. It's actually. So last one, okay. What is the suggestion you want to look at the camera and tell to those students or people across the like irrespective of they're preparing for UPSC or not, whoever is watching, tell to them one last message or one last I don't call it gyan, but whatever you want to tell about mental health to them. Just one last bit. Look at the camera and tell them.
So my entire message around mental health would be that seek a professional guide. I mean, it's important to have a support system, but it's always like throughout my journey, even does not matter my best friends and my sister, how empathetic they were. It always felt that nobody understands me the way I wanted to be understood. It was my therapist which actually helped me a lot. Your support system, friends, family, your partners, boyfriends, girlfriend could be your biggest pillar of strength. But at the end of the day, they are also in that area of where they had to deal with that. Like, for example, my best friend had also lost one of her favorite aunts, right? So he also was going through similar emotions. So you might have a support system which is very strong and you might feel that I can deal with this. But if you could afford therapy, I understand therapy costs a fortune. In any way, subsidized or non-subsidized, if you could see a therapist, and you do not have to go through as severe as something as me, anything that you're feeling lonely or you're finding issues with your academic life or relationship issues or anything, you can seek help and there's nothing to be shy about it.
Guys, one thing I want to add is, if someone is coming to you with problem, just listen to them, okay? Because that might be the most important moment of their life. Don't give any advice, no need to give any advice, no need to give anything, no need to be judgmental on that. Just listen to them, because nowadays there are no people who listens to us. So if you just listen to them, that can solve, at least if they don't have therapy in the stuff, at least listen the first stage. So that can solve for at least few moments. Later on, we can see what happens, but listen to them. If someone is in trouble, listen to them. Don't make fun of them. Don't be judgmental. Don't reveal those things to someone else, because they came to you when they are in trouble and they are seeking your help. So be a helping hand rather than making fun of the person. So on that note, thank you, Animesh. Thank you once again and congratulations for achieving a feat.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
One small point. How were you able to write so many Samachar Manthan tests when like your mind was so clouded?
That was the way I used to divert my mind. Marks se adrenaline rush milta tha. So I was associated with Ranadheer Sir from February 2022, and after that he had always been there till my interviews and even beyond, after my world changed, not just before exams but when my mother was in ICU. So he was there from an academic point of view as a mentor. First of all, I had a book list in my mind before I came to Civilsdaily and enrolled in UAP. He helped me to figure out at the areas in which there are a lot of grey areas like IR or science and tech, governance, social justice. And on those areas, he helped me with a lot of resources, A. And B, he gave me a lot of alternatives in the standard resources that I used to find difficult. For example, Spectrum was something that I found difficult, so he used to give me a lot of compilations or videos or animated videos so I could go through them, or things like that. Then he was there to explain to me the feedbacks about every Samachar Manthan test that I had given every Sunday. He used to tell me how could I improve there in answer writing, and both from a content and creative space. he was there to help. The same thing for mains, full length tests and sectional tests that I had given. He used to give feedback on the evaluations that I used to have. So that is something I did. And then from prelims was my weaker point. So he was there to help me analyze how can I make an educated guess, how can I increase my accuracy, how can I improve my attempts in answering and the way I have to answer that. And CSAT was something that I used to frantically call before 1 month or 20 days when I used to give this mock tests of CSAT, and I used to score like 70s and 80s, but and I used to feel that I was somebody that I could score 100 easily, but I was not able to. Then he was the one who told me that how I have to make a switch and not be adamant from only maths and to diversify to English and reasoning as well. And apart from that, these help were not very discrete based, ki like there's only ki har Monday to Monday I'll get a help. He was always a call away, and those mentorship calls and sessions were too personalized that I'm not sure if I'll be coherent while I speak that, but I had got immense help like where he helped me with my own nuanced personality, because I had a lot other things on my plate. I had a job to cater to. I had to look at personal issues as well. So he was always there, not only from an academic point of view, but also somebody was empathetic enough, like a family member, and that makes me feel so happy that it's his hard work also on me and his faith on me that has yielded something that I'm today really proud of.
That